benchmark showed 22.7 T-flops FP32. That's respectable, but my M4 Pro actually beat it around 33 teraflops on the same test. I'll be honest, not the result I expected. But the beautiful thing is that it worked. An NVIDIA GPU going through compute on a Mac, that hasn't happened since 2019. So the question now is it just a party trick at this point, or can it run a real workload? So then I wanted to see if a bigger GPU would be significantly faster. Maybe the 5060 is just a poor performer. By the way, I did run a few more tests on the 5060 Ti with Llama Benchy. I'll go through all that in a moment. The next problem I ran into was that this actually plugs in here, but the 5070 Ti doesn't get enough power from this little dock. I mean, it should if you plug all three of these in using a funky adapter cable that goes from 3 8-pins over to the 12-volt one. But unfortunately, I lost my 3, so I tried it with the 4-prong one. This is for the big boys. This is for the 600-watt ones, but it didn't work. So I went shopping again. I ended up buying this Razer Thunderbolt 5 enclosure, which has a spot for your own power supply. So you can't go wrong. You can just get whatever power supply you want. It's a little more expensive because you need the power supply and the enclosure now. If you're a serious gamer, you probably appreciate this. Pop, that just drops right in there. Nope, wrong spot. Pop, that just drops right in there. I didn't do that twice. I did it only once. First time worked. Oh yeah. And now, of course, because we have our own power supply, I can just use the 12-volt cable. There we go. We got fully Thunderbolt 5. By the way, if you want to see a video comparing Thunderbolt 4 or USB 4 to Thunderbolt 5, let me know. There we go. It's working. I don't need to turn the computer off. I just hot plug the cable and it's off to the races. TinyGrad automatically recognizes the changes. Now the 5070 Ti is supposed to have higher clocks and faster memory. However, the improvement I saw was not amazing. So I went for the big boy, the RTX 5090. I tested that one right after the 5070, and on FP32, the 5070 actually got a nice boost, about 64% boost from the 5060 Ti for matrix multiplications, and on 8K by 8K matrix, it hit 342 teraflops, more than double of the 5060. The 5090 was not that impressive. Actually, it did about the same, but it did a little bit worse on paper here than the 5070 Ti. But what the 5090 did bring to us is 32 gigs of VRAM instead of the 16 that's on the other two GPUs. So I tested slightly larger models on the 5090. I'll get back to that in a moment. So matrix multiplications is fun and all, but how do these actually perform running LLMs? I ran Qwen 3 8B using TinyGrad's built-in benchmark. The 5090 hit almost 6 tokens per second. Yay! At 28.8 gigabytes per second memory bandwidth. Does that sound right? Does it sound right? Let me know in the comments if that sounds right to you. Because to me, it does not. 5090 should be capable of much more memory bandwidth than that, like 1.7 terabytes. But at least we had some consistency. 5060 Ti got 4.6 tokens per second, 5070 Ti got 5.5 tokens per second, and all those GPUs, the external ones, beat the internal metal GPU, which came in at 3.66 tokens per second. Now, as I mentioned before, the 5090 has 32 gigs of memory, which means you can run much bigger models. Usually up to 14 billion would be comfortable, because you gotta account for context and KB cache and all that. So I tested slightly bigger models. Here's that 6 tokens per second number that I saw on Qwen 3 8B. Qwen 3 30B MOE, mixture of experts. So it has 30 billion parameters, but it's a smaller active parameter number. That one got slightly faster, 6.5 tokens per second, slightly. Llama 3.1 8B, this is the integer 8 quant, by the way, so it is larger, and it is a dense model. And I got 7.48 tokens per second. Finally, a 14 billion parameter Qwen 2.5 got 3.75 tokens per second. All these numbers are making me sad. Here's the full chart, for those of you that always ask for the full chart. including the running VRAM usage of the model itself. By the way, you might think, oh, 10.6 gigabytes for running Qwen 2.5 14 billion, but it's not going to even load on the 5060 or 5070. There's just not enough room for the context and KV. Now it's time for proper end-to-end benchmarks. So I used LlamaBenchy, the tool I showed you earlier, with the right settings. Here's the same Qwen 3 4B model, just switching between NVIDIA and Metal backends. And the RTX 50